She's definitely a little tough, but I knew I was maxing this machine out. Actually, I'm above max. Oh yeah, that bends super easy when you're doing a short piece. How cool is that? You can make drawers and all kinds of stuff. And that's had a really thick 1/8 inch 11 gauge, and we're bending it like it is absolutely nothing. So welcome back, everybody. I'm super excited to show you a new shop tool that we have here to help me with all of my metalworking projects that y'all watch on the channel. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how I set up and assembled my brand new KAKA W4812 box and pan brake. So I've got it nestled in here. Yeah, my shop is filling up in a tiny little area. I was able to get it because this is a beast of a box and pan brake. This is more along the lines of something I would call industrial. However, if you'll go look at the price tags, y'all, I'm gonna put some links in the description. What caught my eye with this company is the prices on these don't seem industrial at all. Now take a look at everything. You're talking anywhere from like 1/2 inch all the way up to 1 inch material, extremely well made. And what this model stands for, the W4812, we can do up to 48 inches wide. That was important to me so I could do full sheets of steel that I order in. 48 inches is great. And the 12 stands for max thickness of 12 gauge mile steel. Now that's across the entire 48 inches. Technically it's 49 inches here, but you can work 48 inch sheets of steel. So 12 gauge is mighty thick. I'm gonna be doing a lot of 16 and 14 gauge work with signs. Now that I got my CNC plasma in the shop, and I'm all the time working with 11 to 12 gauge material, so I wanted something that could handle it. What really attracted me to this model right here is all the different fingers. I really wanted a finger brake, so now I can make pans or boxes with this as well. We can actually remove these sections. You can see they're machined nice and tight. You just pick whatever width you want. It's got a bunch of 3-inch inserts, 4s, and you can combine all those. And then this looks like a full 24-inch right here. So we can get away from 3 to 24 all the way up to, well, 48 inches. I'm gonna show you how that works in this particular episode. So all these pieces are removable. Now, even though I didn't really have the room in the shop, I went ahead and got the model that's got the big counterweights. This is gonna help offset the heft and weight of this particular arm right here. Feels like at least 1/2 inch steel. This is your actual bending plate. And excuse my terminology. These are also adjustable up and down. You can really fine tune this machine. I'm gonna show you, we're about to snap back to some assembly in case you're interested in that. We've got full adjustments everywhere on this machine, so you can really dial it in for the thickness and size material that you want. So let's dive right in to how it came, how I unboxed it. We'll fast forward for a few seconds, and then I'll slow down and show you the critical parts of assembly. And then let's go ahead and bend a couple pieces of steel and put it to the test. All right, so now that I've done fast forwarded through the boring part, the unboxing and putting legs on, no point in showing that in great detail. Now we need to set up our machine. And I'll be honest with you, the instructions leave a lot to be desired here, but it seems relatively simple to figure out if you just look at the pictures. Now some things are set up like these handles right here that lifts the clamping head. And by the way, my terminology is going to be off, being this is the first professional style machine that I've had. But you're going to see clearly what adjustments we need to make. Now, everything was put in the box, including these handles down to make it compact for shipping, I'd assume. You can see I've already got one handle up over in this position, so we need to turn around and move this one as we're setting our machine up, and you're going to see why here in a second as soon as we make these adjustments. All right, so I'm going to take a 16mm wrench here. We're going to take this bolt out. By the way, this is spring loaded, so keep a little hand tension on there. All right, now that we got everything loosened up, I'm going to kind of play around with this handle and undo these nuts here on the side. We'll readjust these in a second. Now we're going to want to pull out on this whole assembly. You don't have to take it completely off. We just want this nice and loose. Now we can rotate our handle around. As you can see, it's kind of a cam design. Put this back on. We're trying to get around a stop right here. I'll show you all that in just a second. We'll come back around and we'll start adjusting these nuts right here. All right, now you can see we can lift this entire head assembly right here. And we'll continue to adjust as needed. Now let's tighten everything back down. Okay, you can see what I've done here. There is a catch, a pin right here. We were all the way on this position. I've moved back around to there, and then I have adjusted these nuts to kind of bottom out once we set on this. And that seems to be working adequately right now. So as we push this handle back, watch what happens here. Right now you can't get steel underneath to bend, but as we push this handle further back, you can see how much we're lifting up here to run our sheet underneath. Obviously, we'll have to do that on both sides. Now we've got this nice big open gap to slide our sheet in, and then we can bend it. But we still have to work on this particular section of the machine. We need some handles, and we need some counterweights, because this is very heavy. Y'all look at how thick this steel is. I just can't get over how well built this machine is, at least compared to the lightweight stuff that I've had in the past. It's all made out of like 1/2 inch to 3/4, maybe even 1 inch material. That looks like right here. And even though the legs were in fast forward, you can see it's just a couple bolts here and here, nice, quick and easy. I do want to let y'all know, I've got this machine on movable casters. I'll put a link in the description if you want, but it's recommended to bolt this machine down because we're going to be putting a lot of torque and tension and leverage on this. If this machine starts getting tipsy at all, even though the weight's kind of more forward, I may have to take these movable wheels off, but I'm working in a limited shop, probably going to clear out this area over here, and I need to be able to put it in when not in use and bring it out in the open floor to bring big sheets in and work. If I had a little bit bigger of a shop, and maybe down the road I will, my plan is to bolt that to the floor. And if you have the room, I recommend bolting it to the floor. It's going to make it nice and safe. All right, y'all, it's over 100 degrees in the shop, so I'm about to kick some loud fans on. But you can see we don't have much assembly here. We got our 2 big counterweights and our lifting handles right here. It also looks like we have to install right here and here a limiter adjustment. We can see the angle that we're going to bend to here. When this little red arrow sits on 0 right now, it goes up to, our most common bend is going to be a 90-degree bend. We can actually have a limiter right here that we can set and adjust to go all the way up from 0 to 130 if we want to make repeatable bends. The big counterweights are going to bolt right in here. The handles are going to bolt right here and here. And then when we start adjusting the limiter, I'll talk to y'all about that again. Let me kick this fan on, cool the shop down, and quickly bolt these couple of items on. All right, so let's go ahead and bend a piece of steel and test this out. I was actually going to build something in this episode, a little cabinet for my plasma cutter, but I needed it to be on wheels, and UPS has just informed me it's delayed by several days. So let's at least do some bending and testing, and for those of y'all that watch the channel, you're about to see this get used for years and years and years with a pile of projects. All right, so even though this machine's rated for a max of 12 gauge, that's rated across the entire 48 inches. As you work down, you should be able to bend a little more, but ultimately keep in mind these are not for bending crazy thick like 1/4 inch material or anything like that. Well, it just so happens I have some 11 gauge, so we're even thicker, and we got a 40-inch piece, so we're almost maxing out the machine, but not quite. We don't need to max out with this at 48 inches anyways, because it's rated for 12 gauge. But let's go ahead and see what this is capable of. So we'll put this in about halfway. It's also kind of hard to bend short pieces too, so let's see if this gives me any sort of an issue. I don't want to stick a full sheet of brand new stuff in here because, well, let's don't waste good steel. And the fact that we're going over the full width max rating anyways, this should be a real test. 11 gauge or 1/8 inch material is no joke. We might need to make a few more adjustments. Let's go ahead and lower this. Now it just touched our sheet. All right. Now one thing I want to show y'all, we are going to need to make an adjustment. You see this line right here at the edge of our bending surface? It's too far forward. So whenever we lift this piece right here, that tiny little gap that you see in between the end of the bending surface and that line, it's actually going to bend an even tighter radius than the thickness of this material. So we need to move the whole machine back. How you do that is with this knob right here. All right, so I'm about to go this direction. Watch the machine move right there. We're changing our bending radius and we're adjusting for the thickness of material, something we absolutely need to do. And I'm going to have to play around and learn all this as well. It's still mighty tight. Now we're going to need to do the same on this side with this knob. You can use a micrometer to check this. Looks good. I still may be bending way too tight. All right, so let's clamp down. That actually clamped down nicely. Otherwise, if it doesn't, we can make some adjustments with these top and bottom nuts right here. All right, that side is clamped down so our material cannot move. It's also worth mentioning these counterweights are adjustable up and down. Obviously, the higher up we go, well, the more it's going to help me out. Being that I'm going to be bending some relatively thick material, I'm going to move these on up toward their max position. She's definitely a little tough, but I knew I was maxing this machine out. Actually, I'm above max. And you can see it's moving a little since I'm not bolted to the floor, but it's not like it's trying to flip over on me. All right, let's see what we got going on here. I can't quite get to 90, although I'm very close because my counterweight's hitting the bench. I mean, it's hitting it right at 90, but it looks like I need to go slightly past. So honestly, anytime I need to use this, I can just jack it up and just pull it right out. That's the beautiful thing about being on wheels. That, or I could wind up moving this over to here and swapping stuff around. I'll play with that later. All right, now looking at my bend, I think I moved this too far back, left too big of a gap because we have a big curved radius, which is okay. I may look for that at times, but let's see what we did. All right, we were so close to making 90, but that counterweight's hitting my workbench. That's something I'll work on. But y'all, we just bent 11 gauge steel. And don't forget, this is rated for 12 gauge across 40 inches. Wow, okay. Had to work at it, but at least it's possible. So here's what I'm doing in the future. I'm gonna be bending a lot of this, really over 48 inches, and I'm above machine max, no big deal. Whenever I make my CNC plasma design, occasionally I'll just cut a few relief cuts in this, making it much easier to bend, then you just weld those back in. But that gives you this nice, beautiful factory looking bend across the entire piece. The little few stitch welds I put in, you grind back to that same finish, and it'll look perfect when it's done. And it keeps me from having to make a full length weld. Now again, if I go 12 gauge, 14 gauge, 16 gauge, which I'm gonna do as well, well, we know that's gonna bend so much easier than this. I actually went a little over max just to push this thing and test it, because I know you are gonna wanna see that. All right, so I wanna make a box. And that's the beautiful thing about investing in one of these machines with the fingers here, as they're called. Instead of just one solid, all you can do is just bend one piece. Now we can actually bend lips, and I'll have to show you, but these pieces are removable. Just pick out any one you want. Again, they're all different measurements. So whatever size box you're gonna make, it just so happens I'm gonna be doing a 7-inch box. So I'm gonna take out this section right here. Man, this is nice. I've never had something machined like this. This is great, heavy duty piece. These are supposed to be hardened. So for example, you see I'm wanting to make a box right here. I want a 1-inch lip, so I cut 1-inch squares out of every corner so we can bend piece to piece, and then you would weld the corners in. And then we'll take some other ones out to do the bigger bend. But let me show you what I'm talking about here. I've got another machine that does this, but again, it can only do it for 20 gauge. That does not help me with the current material that I'm using. All right, so I see that these three right here will easily come close to covering this bend that I need to make. So let's clamp down on. All right, obviously this is bending super easy. Uh-oh, I forgot to make my adjustments. Shame on me. But that bent so easy because we're bending just a short piece. But now you can see we got a lip bent there. Not quite to the 90 degrees because I'm hitting my counter. We'll go ahead and adjust the machine in. This is going to be kind of wonky, but now we're just playing with settings. Make a little bit tighter radius bend. This is all part of learning your machine anyways. Get ready to go through some scrap. Oh yeah, that bends super easy when you're doing a short piece. All right, so this lip that's left that we have to bend is just a little under 7 inches, so I'm just gonna put 2 3s side by side. It doesn't have to be perfect. So we're getting 6 inches, and that'll give us 6 inches of contact on the steel on about a 6 3/4 inch bend. That's okay. All right, now you can see what I've done. A 6-inch bending section. We need it to go on the inside of these lips. Now we can come back in here. I'm probably not going to get this perfect because I'm still learning this machine. Now watch this. All right, so I didn't quite get it right, but look, now we're bent up. We can make a box. I could weld that corner out. Yes, this bend is not perfect, but we've discussed why. I'm just got to make a few more adjustments. So we're making a box, a pan. Let's do this again. How cool is that? You can make drawers and all kinds of stuff. And that's had a really thick 1/8 inch 11 gauge, and we're bending it like it is absolutely nothing. Again, weld those corners out, grind them smooth. Pretty cool. I have a lot of projects this fall that's gonna require some bends like this. And here's the beauty of this machine. I just did a 1-inch lip based on the spacing from up here to here, the way you're gonna bend stuff back. You can do up to 5.5 inches on your lip for your box. That is some serious specs. A lot of models around 2 inches. I personally want to be able to do up to 4, and this goes all the way to 5.5. All right, so one other very important spec that I forgot to mention on this machine, which you can look all this up with the link that I'll provide, is you can go up to 135 degrees. Typically, always do 90-degree bends or less, but if you need to bend something beyond that, if you're doing flashing or any other type of work, you can go well past 90 degrees. And like I mentioned earlier, you can adjust up. So if you got a bunch of repeatable bends, you can set this anywhere you want. Once you get the first bend how you like it, you hit your degree mark, clamp that down and set it, and every time you go push the machine, you're probably gonna wanna overbend slightly because steel tends to rebound. Well, you've got that option as well. So y'all, I found this company after seeing them on my buddy's channel, Spicer Designs, and he's got a smaller model than this. And whenever I went and looked at their prices and their specs, I was blown away, because if you go look at other name brand stuff, you're literally talking double the money. So if you're in the market for a heavy duty brake or pan brake, finger brake, they've got all different types of models, all different types of equipment. Check them out, links down in the description. I found out they were up in North Georgia. I'm in Florida. Whenever I ordered this, it showed up relatively quick. It was about 1,200 pounds with the crate, so you're gonna have to make sure you can unload that or either get the optional liftgate service. I was able to easily take this off of my tractor. Setup was a breeze. We're still got a lot of fine tuning and adjusting that I'm gonna do. You can clearly see that to get my bends right. And we're constantly gonna be making minor adjustments as we put different thickness steel in here. So full disclosure, I did reach out to KAKA and told them, hey, I've got a channel. I think I could get you some advertising. People are gonna see this. They did give me a discount, but I still paid for this myself, even though I did get a discount. So I'm putting my money where my mouth is. Time's gonna tell if this holds up well, does what we need. I think you're gonna see it in use a lot on the channel. I'm excited to share this with you. Those of y'all that follow me or know anything about metalworking, you can already see the things that I can create with this. Now, we just need a bigger shop. All right, y'all, thank y'all so much for watching. I've been really wanting to introduce you to this. You're gonna see it getting used a lot in some upcoming videos. We'll catch you on the next one.